Here they all come. You're not traveling this week? I know you love to travel.
Tomorrow.
Oh, where are you headed?
Just skiing for the weekend.
That'll be lovely. Do you guys have a place you like to go?
Yeah, we're going to Sunday River.
So nice. So nice. Hi. Hello, my friends. How are you guys? Good morning. Good afternoon for the East Coasters. Hi, Danny. You're always so sweet. It's so good to see you guys. Oh my goodness, Carissa. I haven't seen your beautiful face in a while. It's good to see you. Thank you all for being here. We're really excited. This topic was a very popular one, it seems. We got lots of questions, and so we're really thankful to Sarah for sharing her knowledge with us. She is very good at what she does. We're going to give everybody like 2 more minutes to get in, and then we'll get started. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So I know most of these names and most of these faces. This is always so fun for me. Hi, Miss Trisha. Looks like you have a curtain behind you. It's very fancy like. Are you going to record today? Greta, I always love your wallpaper. Sarah, do you see Greta's new wallpaper? She did. When did you do that? Like 6 months, a year ago? I think it's been a while now, but
it was during COVID because I kept seeing my wall on the screen and I'm like, this has got to change.
Hilarious. Yeah, they redid. We're redoing our entire office space, and it's been super fun, super expensive. It's super fun. And they did this pink, and I like pink, but like this much pink, it's kind of a lot. And so the same thing, like I see all these videos I'm making and I'm like, pink, pink, pink. But it's fine. It's very inviting in here now. Love. All right, my friends. Hi, Ashley. Oh my goodness, my love. How are you?
Hi. Guess what I'm doing?
I don't know.
I'm in Colorado.
Oh, how fun.
Durango, actually. Sleep training a baby.
Oh, we love it.
So, yeah, I'm excited to be here. Miss you guys.
Angels of the world and CSs. We love you guys. All right. Do you like the pink, Danny? Thank you. Your wall is blue.
Me too.
It doesn't look blue. It looks beigey. I see beige. Yep. That's what I see. I like Jackie's background. Jackie, that's beautiful. Golden Gate Bridge. My massage therapist is getting ready to get married, and I somehow convinced her to elope. Best decision I ever made. But where they're getting married, you see the Golden Gate Bridge. So she's going to take photos in front of it, and her wedding dress is going to be gorgeous. So excited for her. So, all right. Well, thank you all so very much for being here today. We're really thankful. They're still coming in. We're really thankful that you are sharing your time with us, and hope that you will ask a bunch of questions that you might have for Miss Sarah. I'm going to kind of make it a Q&A from the start. So I have a couple of questions to get her started. And then if you will just use the little icon to raise your hand if you wish to speak. If you don't wish to speak, you can put your question in the chat box. But I always love seeing all of your beautiful faces. So a little bit about our speaker. Sarah Washburn has over 2 decades of experience in the childcare industry and a passion for helping families. She founded the Washburn Agency in 2007 and brings this experience and passion to the Boston area. Not only does Sarah's experience as a wife and a mother help her bring a unique perspective to each placement, but her own time working as a nanny and studying hospitality management also help her to run the Washburn Agency. This agency is an industry leader and fully domestic staffing firm that provides real estate managers, nannies, housekeepers, and more. So thank you, Sarah, so very much for being here. One of the things that I love about Sarah is she has this unique insight into working with family offices and high net worth families. But she also is a fellow traveler and loves to travel. Oftentimes she would be like, got to move our meeting. I'm out of the country again. Which, you know, for most of us, that is a goal in which we inspire to be. So we're looking forward to learning from you, Sarah. Just a couple of questions to start us off. And then again,
Sure.
raise your hand or put your question in the chat box, whichever you prefer. So tell us a little bit more about the Washburn agency and kind of what you do now that you've had it for a while, and how many folks you have helping you run the agency.
All right. Well, you did a really nice introduction. I don't feel like there's a ton to add, but yeah, so we do full domestic, just in the Boston area. Anything within the home: drivers, laundresses, housekeepers, chefs, personal assistants, estate managers, anything, people want. If we think we can fill it, we will absolutely try. We have 4 people, 3 full-time and 1 part-time. Currently 2 are on the call today listening to me. So Diana and Sabrina are here, which I'm excited that they're on.
Awesome. Okay, good. How many hours a week do you think you work now?
Diana and Sabrina need to block their ears, but I would say probably 10.
Okay. No, they don't need to plug their ears. They're the reason, right? Like, we give them kudos and we say, well
Yes.
done. And we
Yes.
aspire to get to a place where we have a team that supports us and allows us to do that. Okay, good.
Yes, I'm lucky to have an awesome team that, allows me that freedom.
Yes. So in your opinion, what is the very best part of being an agency owner?
That time freedom, I would say that's number 1. I have 2 kids. They're 8 and almost 11, or actually they're 7, 7 and almost 11. And I can go on field trips and be in their classrooms. I'm home during the summer. I'm there for vacations. I can travel whenever I want to. And I just love that, just the time flexibility. I would say that's the number 1.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So what responsibility task of being an agency owner were you most excited to hire an employee to kind of take off your plate?
No, hands down, references. Number 1, across the board, references.
Now you do this differently, right? A lot of us use Scout, and I love Scout, big fan, but you still keep it in-house, right? That's
We
like
do.
super important to you.
Yes, it's very important. I feel like we find so many fake references, and Diana is like probably a PI in her past life, because she digs on these references and is constantly finding people that they're not real. They're friends with the person on Facebook. They were in their wedding. They don't even have kids. So that's one thing we'll probably never get rid of it. We have our part-time person. That's all she does is call references.
Oof, my goodness, that is a job.
Yeah. One I don't want to do again.
Yeah, agreed. So then is your staff in an office like here at Preferred, or are you all remote based?
We are all remote. We have always been remote. Diana and I tried an office, I think, for like a month, and we'll never have an office. Yeah, totally remote. Sabrina's in Tennessee, Kendra's in Florida, Diana's here in Boston with me, and then we have Anne, who's our VA in the Philippines. So yeah, we're all across the country and the world.
I love that. So one more question that I just kind of want to know, like, what did you plan to do with your life before you started the agency? Right? You have this degree, I think, in hospitality, and
Yeah.
what were you thinking you were
Yeah. So I used to run hotels, and I ran an inn, and I think I always sort of thought that I would own an inn of my own and like do weddings, which would give me 0 free time. So I don't know why I ever thought that was a good idea. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I did, hotels.
That's so sweet. That's like that Night in Rodanthe book by Phyllis Sparks, right? Like you go in and meet a dream guy. Yeah, no, you would never be able to get away from the inn.
No, never.
This is definitely a good choice. So thank you for sharing that. Just, I think it's important to learn more about you as an owner and this incredible business that you built. And then we can get kind of into the meats and ask the personal questions that everyone's dying to know, right, guys?
Sure.
So at what point of your agency journey do you think that these high net worth clients really became part of your customer base? Was it from the beginning? Did you do something specific? Did you switch something up? Kind of, when did they come into play?
So it was probably within the first year or 2. And we didn't do anything special. It was Google. We had our first high net worth client. It was a sports team owner and multi-billionaire, and they were looking for a housekeeper, and they wanted a domestic agency. And in Boston at that time, everybody was nanny except for us and one other one other company. So they came to us, and I mean, we're still staffing their house almost 16 years later. We've probably done over a dozen searches for them, and yeah, and they just tell their friends, and it just keeps on going. So that was how it started. I mean, and it was pretty fantastic as an entrance into that, but it was an eye opener for sure.
So they found you on Google,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Their
difference.
family office found us on Google.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the difference was you and only one other agency were offering those housekeepers. So you were
Right.
unique in the needs that you were offering, which
Yes.
then took it from quite a large competitive market in Boston, right? There's a lot of agencies.
Yeah, there's a lot of us.
Like you versus one other person, you won the
Mhm.
deal. It's been amazing.
Yep.
That is really incredible. The family offices are something that, I'm just starting to learn more about, because there's not a ton here in my target market area, but in larger cities, there's definitely, like, how do things change with the family office? Is there a family office mid-level interview, right? Are there times where you don't even meet the family? Did you know this was the sports team owner when they called?
No. So we didn't know. I think it was not until the full intake call that we found out who it actually was, and we had to sign NDAs and all of that before. So I think I knew at that time that it was someone who was fairly high profile, and because we were signing those NDAs. But yeah, it changes. I think the search changes drastically when you're using a family office. We very rarely speak to the family. We have one super high net worth client right now. I think we Googled him. He's worth 20 billion or something. And we talked to them and his wife. But I can't remember the last time we actually spoke to one of the clients. Typically we just work with the family office, or we work with the estate manager or the house manager, but very rare that we speak to the family. I think the biggest thing with family offices is that there is absolutely a middle level. Usually there's way more interviews. They have to not only interview with us, but then they interview with at least one, if not several people within the family office before they get to the estate manager, and then maybe they meet with the family. So it's absolutely a longer process. But you do have that family office that there's some serious pros and cons to working with the family office. I would say pros being you have that middle person and they're there to help set expectations. They're obviously more like you and I probably, and they're not high worth themselves. So I think that they have a better understanding and they get it when we say something like this expectation is out of line, and then they go back to the family and have to set those expectations with them. So we never have to do sort of that really hard work of really working the family down. The family office does that for us. And they're usually really great because they want to make it work. I mean, it's their job as well as it is our job to find the person. So they want to work with us and make it work, and as quickly as possible. I would say the con of working with them is that it takes so long. And a lot of times candidates don't want to have to do that many interviews. I mean, I don't know how many of you we've had candidates all the time. There's how many interviews I have to do? And I have to interview with you, and I have to interview with so-and-so. I mean, it's a long process.
Interesting. So let me take it back a step for those that may not know what family offices are. I should have started here, but I just got so excited. I had to know where he came from. And so anyway, so from your knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is a family office? What sort of things do they do? And obviously high net worth families utilize them. Traditional middle class, upper middle class families wouldn't. From your knowledge, what is a family office?
So there's two kinds of family offices. There is a single family office. So your uber high net worth families, they have their own family office. So they're working usually they work for that family. And then there's multifamily offices where multiple families will hire that one office to do things like lifestyle management, wealth preservation, generational planning, asset protection, a lot of tax advisory. So you need the ones that do the lifestyle management, because those are the ones that are actually helping to staff the homes. So yeah, that's what that's what a family office does. And you just need to find those ones that are multifamily offices. If you want that fishing pole, like Lydia says, you need a multifamily office.
That's right. We love that term. In our first legacy series, Lydia, you might want to chime in, correct me if I'm wrong. She says you could teach a man. No, what did she say? I know she's here. We'll
You
find
can give somebody a fish and they'll eat for one night, or you can give them a fishing pole and they'll eat forever.
Thank you. Amazing, Lydia. Yeah.
Yes.
The legend lives on. Thanks, Sarah.
So Sarah, do you just Google family offices? I mean, you got lucky with this. So
We got lucky with our first one. Yep. You can absolutely Google them. You're not going to find the individual family offices. But if I was to market to family offices, I wouldn't probably go after the individual ones. I would go after the multi ones because you're just going to get more referrals. You're going to get, I mean, I honestly don't know how many clients they work with at a time, but it's many. And we have one that we've worked with for probably 13 or 14 years, and they send us clients a dozen times a year. You know, oh, I have this other client and she needs a companion, or oh, they need a housekeeper.
that is amazing. That is incredible. Is there anything that you do for the family office? Do you give them like a kickback? Do you send them things? Do you drop by? What do you do?
No, I mean, I know you love that. You want me to do that, but I just don't do it. We don't do anything to cater to them. I think we're really good at what we do, and they use us, and then they just keep coming back, and you don't have to do anything super special.
That's awesome. Okay. Very cool. So I know we'll have some questions around that. I'm going to ask one or two other questions about high net worth, and then we'll let other people chime in. So we know there are some differences when working with high net worth clients. And so, and you have mentioned that this process is going to take longer. So let's say, what are some of the most rewarding things about working with this population, and what are some of the frustrating things about working with the high net worth clients that go through the family office? They may contact you on their own, but it seems like many of them are using the office.
Yeah. I would say the most rewarding thing is purely financial, because you're getting so many jobs off of that one person to call you. So you do a good job with that one, and you have many more to follow. And then they keep telling their friends. And the circle here, at least in Boston, is small. I know probably in like Los Angeles or New York, it might be bigger, but we don't have a ton of billionaires here. So, but they're all friends, and they talk, and they just keep referring, one after another after another.
That's amazing. So it's a small knit group is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And they all know each other. They absolutely know each other, and they just keep referring. We have this one client they referred, was the business partner, and now Diana got a call today. Now he's just referred us to the executive assistant who needs a nanny. So she's not high worth, but it was like we still got one more out of it, and they keep sending, more and more friends.
That's incredible. All right, and then the frustrations.
I would say unrealistic expectations would probably be my number one. We have a lot of, I guess, like regular clients as well that have unrealistic expectations, but I think with this population, a lot of times they're used to getting what they want. They throw money at the problem and they get what they want. It doesn't, they don't care. They don't necessarily care what we have to say. We also find that with a fully staffed home, and depending on how long people have been in like a certain job in there, we find like salary compression, and that they can almost be a little cheap in what they're offering because they can't overpay this new person more than they're paying the one who's above them. So that's a super frustration, because especially this past 2 years, as the rates have skyrocketed, they've had someone in the job for 10 years, but you don't get as much of an increase staying as a job as you do when you move on. So that would be huge. That salary compression piece is very frustrating. And then the second, just being that timeline, trying to get things done, asking the family office, like, when are we getting an interview? What's going on? Did you get any feedback?
Awesome.
That's the third biggest for sure.
So for traditional placement, when you're working just with a family, you could probably do it easily, 3 weeks, right? I mean, ideally, if you have the perfect candidate, you're setting up the interviews, you're getting feedback. So how much longer is the family office taking?
Diana, what was, we had this one that started in July. I don't think they hired until December. It was brutal. I mean, we were sending people, we went back and looked and it was like August. They had gotten like their first round of candidates. And then from there it was pulling teeth. And we were just lucky that they were still, even some of them were still around in December to get, as far as an offer. So it was really slow. A lot of travel in there, a lot of like, oh, well, we haven't heard anything and they're away. And then they need to meet with the wife. And
Ooh, that would drive me nuts.
yeah, that fee was well earned.
Yeah, that is good to know. All right, let's open it up. We have some questions in the chat box, but if anybody wants to raise their hand or just come off a mute and ask, feel free. We'll get to the questions in the chat box as well. But what else do you guys want to know about either Sarah, her incredible entrepreneurship journey, family offices, or the high net worth market? You can just, there we go. Hey, girly girl. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Sarah. So what is something, looking back, you've been doing this for so long, but looking back, what is something you wish you did sooner to kind of scale yourself quicker or grow yourself quicker to get to a place where you feel like, okay, my business is successful, this is going to work? Like, what's something you wish you looked back and did quicker?
I would have hired quicker instead of trying to do it all on my own. It took me a long time. To hire, and I hired like part-time, very, very part-time people at first, and then just continued to do it myself. And Diana was my first. She's been with us now for 5 years. So, I mean, I was in business for over 10 years before I hired my first full-time employee. I should have done it a long time ago.
Wow. And somebody did ask a question that works with that. It was Carissa with 406 said, how did you scale back on your hours? Was it finding the right person or the amount of staff you hired? Thank you, Carissa, for that question.
Definitely finding the right person. So before Diana, I had a couple. Diana is on here. She is my right-hand gal. She is our director of placements. She literally can run the agency top to bottom, and I don't even need to exist except for to write her paycheck. So yeah, so no, it was definitely finding the right person.
Okay, good to know. All right, who else? Anybody else want to say something, or y'all are just filling up this chat box? Y'all are killing me. Y'all can ask your questions. I like it.
I'd like to pop in.
Thank you, Ashley.
So yeah, so in regards to hiring, like when you were on the newer side to find help, I think I'd be interested to know what kind of attributes you looked for in that person, and also what were the most important things you found to make sure that they knew how to do in terms of like them being a well-rounded person to end up being like Diana, who can completely run the agency.
So the first person, I mean, I made a lot of mistakes in hiring. Let's be real. I had one, I think the first person I hired, I just hired her because I liked her. I thought like we got along pretty well. She was a nanny that I placed actually with a very high profile sports player. And then she came and she worked for me just like very, very part-time. And then the next person, she was a mom, and she was able to, like really help with the nanny aspect of it. I don't know. I mean, I think I had a lot of failures before I actually figured out what worked for us. And Diana had zero experience in the agency world prior to joining us. She was just a nanny, but she has that personality, and just her work ethic is incredible. So I don't honestly know how to tell you how to screen for that. I think I got just really, really incredibly lucky.
Okay, thank you.
And a lot of failures.
You make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Mistakes you
I
learn.
mean, I think I learned from each one. Every single time I was like, I don't want that again, or no, thank you. And then
like dating.
Do you think it was important for them to have been a nanny before? Because I think I want someone more so to handle recruiting, because it's the one thing I personally just dislike a lot.
I always have thought that someone who has at least been a nanny would be the best fit, because it's hard to find people who know what we do and understand, our industry. So our recruiter actually has never been a nanny before. But she did do some recruiting for, I think, like special needs kids for like an autism center. So she had some experience, but I definitely think it's helpful. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to have been a nanny.
Awesome. Who else?
Okay, awesome.
So I have a question with high net worth. It's great, but it's quite a headache for me. So I guess you're used to using or communicating with the office, which I think for us it's like half and half. And so you do get those clients, they're not used to being told no, like ever. And I really have clear boundaries and I will tell them no.
Yeah.
But when you are getting that feeling that they're going to be pain in the butt, is that there's something you're going to walk away from? Like, how do you handle that? 'Cause it's usually all pop up,
1,000%.
and then all of a sudden dad comes in the email. He hasn't responded to one email chain in months and months. And it's something about payment and he's going to tell me how it is or whatever. And so it's like, how do you control the situation from like start to finish and have clear expectations and boundaries?
We have no problem saying no to a client. We have no problem not taking on that job. I always say to Diana, like, we don't need their job bad enough to have to take it. I had a client, I actually have a super, super high net worth client right now, and they just sent me their own contract for me to sign. And it basically was, if the placement falls apart within 90 days, I will give them a percentage back plus find a replacement. It was like the most, and I called her today and I was like, I'm not signing any part of this. I was basically like, you can use our agreement and I'm happy to like make some slight tweaks to it, but if not, like, move on. I don't need your job.
Okay.
But I think from the beginning, the more you set expectations in the beginning, the better it is. Like, if they know that they can't walk all over you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Any other questions about high net worth? People are asking more about family offices. They want to know, how do you go about introducing yourself to the family office? Is there a script you follow? I know you don't go shake hands and kiss babies, which is what I want to do, but
I did actually, the first time I met a family office, I got all dressed up, went into that office. I think I was all of like 27 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. And I sat down with them and I remember being just like totally blown away and so out of my element when I sat in there. But they have actually become one of our best family office clients. I don't remember what your question was. How do I introduce myself? Yeah, so I would say, honestly, I actually thought about this question before we sat down. This goes right back to Lydia's webinar before. You could absolutely use that same email that she sends around to like doulas and NCSs. It's essentially the same exact thing. You just want, except for you're not going to be able to do anything to help them. So you just want to offer your services, because they all look for agencies. They don't do it themselves. They do not do it in-house. So find those family offices that specifically say that they do lifestyle management and just reach out to them and say, do you have agencies? Do you have an agency to work with? Like, are you looking for one to work with? I'd love to introduce myself. We can absolutely help you. We have several high net worth clients.
Awesome. And somebody said, what are the family offices even called? They're called family offices, right? Like,
they are. Yeah.
Literally be like
After
Aspire family office or Memory family office.
Some of them are like so-and-so management. We get a lot of that, like something management, but it definitely, just Google it. Google family office. You'll probably be surprised with how many come up in your area.
Any other questions about family offices? We're getting lots of questions about staffing now. It's so funny to me. We came here for like, one topic, it's gone into 50 because everybody's so impressed with what you've done. Do you have a separate application for family offices or separate agreement? That's a great question, Trisha.
No. We don't. We also, our application is about 3 questions for families. So we don't do a separate one for them, and we don't have a separate agreement. And a lot of times with family offices, they already have, I don't even know if power of attorney is the right word, but they are already able to sign on behalf of the client. So they just sign our same agreement.
Perfect. I love that.
I have a question,
Yes. Hi, Jackie.
quick question.
Go ahead.
Hey, so Sarah, I don't know if you already addressed this, but what is your initial intake process like? Are you going in person to meet with the, are you sending someone to meet in person, or is it a virtual, or is it a phone call?
It is a phone call. It is a phone call anywhere from, I don't know, we did, Sabrina and I did one yesterday. It was 15 minutes.
Wow.
Sometimes they have, the nice part is if they're already looking for these positions, they already have a job description lined up. So they don't want to spend a lot of time talking to us. And quite frankly, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking to them either. So we get usually, I would say 30 minutes max phone call. And then, you know, we write the job description and send it to them for approval. But yeah, they usually already have one on their own, and they're just trying to get this done as quick as possible.
Love it.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, if you have another question, let me know. Otherwise, some people are asking about helpful ways to manage your remote. I'm just going to throw questions out and you answer, because we're almost to time, and everybody just adores you clearly and what you've built.
Oh, thank you. Manage
asking-
remote workers. Honestly, that Diana does that. I don't do any of that.
So we have Diana come back and teach us about managing remote
She
work.
can teach you how to manage a remote worker. She's very good at it. I don't do any of that management piece anymore, except for Diana.
Yeah. Oh, here's a
I
good
mean,
one. Denise asked, who signs the referral agreement? You mean with the nanny or with the agency? With the agency, Yeah, the staff can sign it. She just answered
Yeah,
that.
the family office can sign it. Yep.
Exactly.
Because within a family office, there's usually lawyers. I mean, there is a lot of people. There's tax people, there's lawyers, you name it. They're in that family office. And like I said, they can definitely sign on behalf of the family, and they pay the bill quick.
That's awesome. Okay. Anyone else have another question for her before we let her go get back to packing for her next trip? You said skiing, right? Yeah.
Skiing. Yep. Tomorrow.
It's going to be amazing. Any last minute tips of advice when we're looking and talking to high net worth families? I know you were so funny. You messaged me and you're like, well, really, they're the same as standard families because they're so standard to you, right?
Yeah.
But to other people, they can seem unapproachable and intimidating, whatever the case may be. So you gave us one, right? You gave us one really great tip, and that was set expectations from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
2, you're not afraid to tell a client no, right? That you don't want to work with them.
Yep.
Any other tips? Someone's asking for a book.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is they are just like everyone else. They just have more money, and they just have sometimes unrealistic expectations. But I think if you're really confident in your process and you're confident in what you're offering, you can work with anybody. I mean, we treat all of our clients like they're high net worth. We really don't treat our high net worth outside of like maybe some extra questions around like security and privacy, some things like that. We have to dig a little deeper or do a little bit more on, but otherwise, I mean, they are just like everyone else. And I really think having that confidence in your process and having the confidence in what you're offering them, in your reference checks, in your background checks, you can easily work with them.
I wrote that down. That was so good. That is my huge takeaway from this, right?
Oh, good.
You're confident in your process, and you're confident in what you're offering, you can work with anybody and treat all of your clients like they're high net worth. That was the mic drop. That was amazing. Oh, okay. Do you charge higher placement fees for these positions? Interesting.
So yes, a lot of times we do. We've been doing a lot more of this over the last probably just year. So our fee is 15%. I mean, you can find it anywhere. On our website is 15%. But when we get these other jobs, not necessarily a nanny job, even if they're high net worth, we won't increase the fee because that's not really fair. But we do for estate managers, housekeepers, chefs, things like that. We'll charge more.
Perfect. Yanela, you still have your hand up. Is that about books or is there something else? Thank you, Allison, for answering her about books. Nellie. Oh, she went away.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. No, you're answering my question.
All right, fantastic. Sarah, we cannot thank you enough for sharing. You are just a wealth of knowledge. We are just so incredibly thankful for everything that you have shared with us, the confidence you have given us. This has been recorded. We will share with everyone the recording, and we just can't thank you enough, Sarah. We're inspired by you. And we can't thank you for being willing to share and for being such an incredible member of our community. We're so impressed.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I was terrified, but I hope that people at least took something away from this. And I'm happy to answer any other questions if if anyone wants to shoot me an email or anything.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. All of you, look for our February webinars. We are going to do a special startup series where we are going to be speaking to multiple agency owners about their startup journey. And then we will have an expert join us as well. So I really hope to see you there. Thanks for being here and have an incredible week.
Thank you.